Hey, what is going on? Welcome to Dharma Time. I am your host, the Dharma Guy, here with the Dope Doctor. What's up?
What's up?
Man, a few words there. Anyways, welcome. You were listening to Dharma Time on WPSN99.com, the Problem Solving Network. I was about to put Problem Solving Solutions.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was weird.
Yeah.
It's been a weird day, man. It's been a weird week.
It's been an awesome day.
Well, we're both getting ready to leave.
Yes.
Right? I'm getting ready to go to the Bahamas again, and you're going to the Keys.
Yeah, don't remind me.
We're
7 hours, man.
Yeah. Well, I got like a 2-hour drive, and then I'll be on a boat for several hours, several days.
After 2 hours, I'll feel like I'm on a boat, and I got 5 more hours after that driving.
Jeez. Where are you? What part of the Keys are you going
Marathon.
to? Oh, Marathon. That's not too bad. I enjoy Marathon. It's nice.
Yeah.
I usually stay in Big Pine when I go down there.
I don't usually go.
Really?
I don't know anything about it.
It's nice. But anyways, so welcome. I will get to all of our sponsors and things of that nature later on. I want to go ahead and jump right into today's show. And so today's actually an interesting day, right? So the Dope Doctor and I are pretty good at improv and kind of just flying by the seat of our pants. But I'm going to test that theory today.
Oh, boy.
Because we had an idea. We talked about what ideas we could do for a show earlier on throughout the week. And we originally thought about doing one on honesty and integrity. And for whatever reason, it just wasn't, for this week anyways, it wasn't really sitting right with me. I don't know why, but it didn't really speak to me.
Because you wanted to lie this week or something?
I don't know. Hopefully not. I don't think so. Or maybe I was being lied to.
Yeah, it was too painful, too personal.
Exactly. So anyways, but it came to me this week, or I guess gradually, what today's show is going to be about. So I of course, I get a lot of my stuff from social media, just trying to see what the people are worrying about these days. And on my feed, constantly, dude, like every day. Now, granted, I have several thousand people on my feed, so I don't know if it's indicative of how pertinent of a problem it is, but I do see it quite frequently on my feed, people dealing with anxiety and fear. And
nice.
Yeah, well, it's not nice that they're going through it, but I think some of them have anxiety and fear based upon, the world at the moment, what's happening, with all the stuff with the politics and the race relations, immigration. There's a lot of stuff happening right now. And I know that for some of the younger generation, it might feel like this is the worst it's ever been, or this is, it's so up front in your face at the moment. But some of the older generation had kind of been through this before. They've been through this rodeo before. They've seen Trump in the form of Reagan, essentially. This whole Me Too movement happened back in the 90s, like 91, 92, I think it was, with Anita Hill, with Clarence Thomas.
I know what you're talking about.
So, all this stuff is kind of repeating itself. It's been there, done that. But I think nowadays, with social media and how everybody's got a video in their pocket kind of a thing, it feels more up front because we're seeing more of it. And I'm not sure if that's contributing or not, but bottom line is people have a lot of fear and anxiety right now. So with all those things I just mentioned, as well as in their own personal lives, right? Like, even my own kids, I watch, and in their own way, they have their own versions of fear and anxiety. My little ones, they're afraid to sleep alone in the dark sometimes. That's their own version of fear, I guess. And then my 14-year-old, she has her own versions of fear, and she still gets worried sometimes and sleeping at night, or maybe there's somebody outside the house or whatever. And then, other people I know, a lot of them are very anti getting into relationships and stuff.
Right.
Because they're afraid of getting hurt. So I just noticed a theme, right? There's a theme with a lot of people I've interacted with. And it kind of revolves around fear and anxiety, And so I figured, why not do a show on that today? and we literally decided this, not too long before going on air. We stream prior to our show, by the way, on UpLive. We do a lot of music and kind of hanging out. And then we do the show. And so I told Louie, or the Dope Doctor, Louie, either one. I told him, let's do it on fear and anxiety. He agreed, and now here we are. So
That's right.
We're gonna make this happen, guys. So, what are your thoughts, first of all, on fear? Do you notice it as well? I mean, do you see a lot of fear and anxiety in people these days?
Well, man, I think everybody's so fearful and anxious about a lot of things on a normal level.
Sure.
But when there's this much discussion of heavy topics, and there's this much disagreement of heavy topics, I think it causes more anxiety and fear.
Well, and I'll agree to that in the sense that, I watch news. I don't watch a lot of local news, but I'll watch like Vice or different things. And
you know what's happening on a national scale or international scale.
Yeah, and it does seem though like every story is like so like big,
but news is geared to create fear and anxiety. Right?
I guess what I'm saying is...
Like, come to us for comfort. If you come here, we'll give you comfort by giving you the truth, or we'll give you comfort and telling you how to prepare for what's coming. It's about that.
Yeah, I can see that. But it's like... it's interesting, though, because everything that they're talking about is, like, major, though.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff in Venezuela. That's huge, man.
Right.
I mean, they're, like, trying to take over a country, man. Like, that's not just, like, a simple disagreement. That's, like... life-changing type of stuff that's happening.
Well,
for
the
people.
person in control is just not a very good guy.
No. And then, of course, the immigration here, they're putting up videos and stuff of little kids being taken from their parents. And, like, I mean, that's kind of a big deal. It might not be a big deal for, Joe Blow working at their job today, but it's a big deal for those families,
Actually, the bigger deal in that case is I have friends and family members in Border Patrol. The biggest thing is them telling me that kids are arriving, not even from there, from Guatemala, arriving there with notes in their hands of exact instructions. He says, I'm talking to a 7-year-old, but I feel like I'm talking to an adult. They've been schooled so hard on how to do it, how to get here all by themselves. They traversed an entire country, Mexico, to come here to the border to come into the United States, all by themselves. That's at 7 years old, 9 years. He goes, we have so many kids that have a name and an address of somebody in the United States. He goes, actually, since this began, we've been flying them all over the country, putting them in homes. He goes, that is nowhere on the news because it's government money. We've been flying these kids. We're not taking kids away from parents. That's all crap. We're not removing things. He goes, this is all lies. He goes, but we can't say anything.
Wow.
So unfortunately, what we're doing is these kids are coming here. We're calling Joe Blow in Miami. Joe Blow in Miami says, I don't even know that kid. Yeah, that's my second cousin's kid, but I don't know them, and I can't afford it. I already have 3 miles. If you don't send that kid here, and they're going, well, we have this kid here. We have nowhere to send them. Right. There's no parent.
Wow.
And so he says, my office, he goes, literally all of our offices are full of children and people that we have nowhere to send them.
Wow.
Because the people in the United States don't want them, and their families are in Guatemala. They're not even in Mexico.
Wow.
So
and my 7-year-old won't
the
sleep
news that we're watching, he's saying everything you're watching is a lie.
But that's, but I'm glad that you actually brought that up, right? Because I think that kind of coincides very well with the approach I think we're both going to end up taking on fear and anxiety.
Right.
And that is, a lot of the fear and anxiety is about the unknown, right? Like, you're not fearful of what's happening. You're fearful of what you think is going to happen.
Right.
And that's the problem, is oftentimes what you're basing that on is maybe a faulty perspective, maybe bad facts, whatever.
Right.
But the bottom line is, we're approaching this narrative that we've created as if it's reality. And then we get fearful of that potential reality when it could be completely opposite of that. And I think we've all had those, which is interesting, I think.
Well, yeah, because you take a piece of a truth and you make it a full truth.
And
like that whole story we just talked about is a piece of a truth, not a full truth.
Correct. And I think that we do that in our lives all the time.
Right.
But at the same token, I guess it's just human nature maybe to think the worst sometimes, because for some people, I should say, because we've all had those moments, right? We've all had those moments in life where we've worried about what could happen, and we've worked ourselves up, and then the opposite happens, and it worked out totally fine.
Right.
But in times of crisis, we don't think of those moments, right? When we're worried about something, we're not thinking of the 70,000 times that everything turned out just fine and we're totally cool and everything's all right. We're thinking about like the 1 or 2 times the thing didn't go right, and we're worried that this is going to be the third. You know? So statistically, we couldn't be further from the truth.
Right.
But we get so worked up over this fear and anxiety about what could or could not happen that it kind of like it destroys our present. It destroys our now. Right.
Right.
And in spirituality, anyways, like with Buddhism, anyways, that's the whole point, is being in the now. Because that's all we got, guys.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's not promised, and I think that. Not even with just Buddhism. I think most spirituality has that same premise to it. Tomorrow's not promised.
And accepting that is comforting. But to not accept that is, I think, where the fear and anxiety sits.
How so? What do you mean?
In other words, we don't really accept that tomorrow's not promised. Promised. We kind of know it, but death scares a lot of people.
It does.
And
not to interrupt you, but
sure.
That's why I hear that phrase all the time. I don't understand when they say, they were taken unexpectedly. Really? Isn't everybody, for the most part, unexpected? I mean, it's expected.
There's no better way to go for me.
Yeah, well, not only that.
I want to be taken unexpectedly and quickly.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the problem, right? Is we expect tomorrow to be here.
Right.
I know it might not be, but I expect it to be.
It's like that, Trinity. It's like when you're driving down the street and like you know how both you and I are driving down 44 right over here coming to the studio.
Yeah.
And we both know there's cops on that road all the time.
Yes.
So we go a certain speed because we know there's cops there. But that's a different kind of knowledge.
If there's any cops listening, I always go the speed limit. I'm just going to put that out there.
But there's a different knowledge between knowing there's cops there, so we still go 5 or 10 over.
Right.
And then, hey, Louis, I just passed this trooper, and he's speed trapping, and then I go almost exact speed limit or just a couple over. There's a different knowledge. And I think that's the same way with death and the same way with some of the things that we feel secure with, is that we feel like we know that we're dying, but we don't really know that we're dying.
Right. Well, and I think the answer to this, and I think that's which of course I'm going to direct it towards throughout this whole little hour we've got here. But I think the answer is spirituality.
Right.
I really do. I think spirituality can give you that inner peace to where you're just good, right? And I'm going to use the same car or driving analogy, similar to it anyways.
Right.
It's been told to me before. I can't take credit for making it up, but I remember
sure you can.
When I heard it, how great it was.
Just
and that is, when you're driving a car, you have your headlights at nighttime.
Right.
And your headlights light up, and they show roughly, 20, 30 feet in front of you. Now, we all know that that's all you can see is 20, 30 feet in front of you, but we're trusting and we're believing that the road continues. So we keep driving and assuming the light is going to continue to light the way, even though we can only see 20, 30 feet in front of us.
Right.
We just have faith and we believe that road continues, infinitely or to our destination, essentially.
Right.
And so that kind of sense of calm or that sense of faith, that trust, if you will, I think that's what spirituality gives you. And when you have that, I personally haven't met anybody in a car driving at night that every 3 seconds is worried we're going to crash.
Huh.
Like they're constantly like, oh my God, what if the road stop? Okay, it didn't stop. Oh my God, what if the road stop? I have never met anybody do it. They kind of just sit back, they have their conversation, they get on the phone or whatever it may be, and they're trusting that the road continues even though they can't see it. They're just assuming that everything's going to be all is well. Right. And that kind of faith. So that shows that we're capable of it, first of all. So I think that spirituality is what gives us that kind of peace. I know it did for me. Right, so for me, I got to be honest, I never really struggled a lot with anxiety and fear. That was never really my my thing, if you will.
Uh-huh.
I was never plagued by it. I think because early on I struggled so much with stuff, I learned how to persevere. I learned early on that I'm a survivor, and so I learned that no matter what happens around me or to me, I'm going to figure out a way to get through it. I just have that kind of faith in myself, that belief in myself that I'm going to get through whatever it is that's in front of me. Now, as I've gotten older and as I've had, more of a spiritual awakening, I don't just believe I'm going to get through it. I believe that my definition of what getting through it looks like has changed.
Right.
Right. Before, I'd want to get through it and come out on top on the other side and be victorious.
Yes.
But now I'm like, I'll get through it. As long as I'm awake, alive, my kids are good, I'm good, man. I'll deal with whatever else is in front of me.
Right.
So my definition of okay has changed as well.
Right.
And I think spirituality is what's done that. Spirituality has given me gratitude. Spirituality has given me faith that everything's going to be okay. And it's given me that inner peace to accept it.
Right.
And I think that's, I do believe that once again that's lost in today's world. I was just on a phone call this morning. There's a really good friend of mine is struggling with some things in life right now. And consequently, there's other consequences of that struggle that's taking place in his life. And called me up to talk about some of them. Mm-hmm. And, after listening, kind of just getting an assessment of what's happening, the pretty much the first thing I told him was like, look, dude, it sounds to me like you're growing.
Right.
It sounds to me like life is setting up situations for you to grow in and learn things that you haven't learned yet. And if you don't start to learn them, you don't start to find some spirituality and some inner peace, life is going to continue to get worse for you.
Yes.
Life is going to continue to put things in front of you to make you learn. So whether you learn them now or learn them later, you're going to probably learn it. It's just a matter of how much stuff you go through before you learn it.
Right.
And so I told him to start reading some things and, start finding spirituality. And it's interesting because he's young and we've never really had this kind of a conversation. I mentioned it years ago, and it was, late teens, early 20s, talking about spirituality. Yeah, whatever. I was like, okay,
Right.
you'll be ready one day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had the conversation with him again today, and he really did. He sounded, more open to it because he's struggling a little bit because, some things aren't going his way at the moment.
And it takes that sometimes.
Yeah. And you and I both have done this numerous times to many people. I was able to kind of tell him what he's going through without him even telling me. I was like, oh, and this is probably happening. He's like, yeah. It's because I've been there, bro. It's called experience is what that's called. And I was like, and the way out of that is going to be spirituality.
Right.
I'm going to tell you right now. You're not going to be able to fill that void with anything else. And so I think that when I hear a lot of this fear and anxiety, I think that's one of the common denominators amongst all of them is a lot of them are not having that either they don't have spirituality or they're not practicing it. And I think that that's the thing is a lot of times people say that they're spiritual and they feel it, but they don't take time to practice every day. So it's kind of like,
Would you say that most people that claim to have some sort of faith or spirituality probably don't practice it on the regular?
I would think a lot of them do, yeah.
I would think so too.
Yeah.
Unless your faith actually commands that you do it. Like, I think that's why, I don't mean to single one out, but like in the Muslim faith, if you have to pray 5 times a day, it kind of forces you to to do something.
Oh, of course. It's
right?
kind of hard to forget, yeah.
So I kind of like that about that faith. Like if you're going to believe in something, then show that you believe in it by doing it here, here, and here. I kind of like that. Well, kind of forces you to stay on track, right?
Well,
that was brilliant. Whoever came up with that.
Well, that and even Jehovah's Witness. To be honest with you.
Yeah, what do they have to do?
Well, like they have to go out and witness for the most part. They have to go out there and knock on doors, stuff like that. And they have like a lot of rules as far as like they don't vote.
Right.
My whole point is I agree with you in the sense that those two in particular are very. I'm going to regret this word, but rigid. They're very rigid.
Okay.
It's very finite. These are what's expected of you.
Right.
Whereas a lot of times with Christianity, there's so many different ones. There's so many different variations that you can kind of fake your way through it. You really can. Because
you just have to show up.
Show up once a Sunday.
Yeah.
Sing a couple hymns. Listen to somebody talk. Yeah. And go a merry way. And nobody's none the wiser.
And in reality, you don't even have to show up every Sunday because
No.
Even if you just come on Easter, they may get mad at you, and not mad. They'll make like little snarky comments.
Dude, I know at least 6 or 7 Christians in my mind right now that don't go to church at all. Period.
Absolutely, I know a lot.
And they still refer to themselves as that.
Of course,
which by all means, I'm not judging.
Of course,
but I think that that's part of it, though. I think that the ones who are experiencing the fear and anxiety, that fear of the unknown is because you're worried about what may or may not happen. Mm-hmm. But if you have that inner peace where you're okay no matter what happens,
right,
then that fear and anxiety starts to dissipate.
Right.
Because why would you be feared if you're confident that everything's going to be okay?
Right.
And so, as cliche as it sounds, I think those people need some spirituality in their lives.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
But there's I don't know what it is about today's world, but it feels like there's a lot more of it. A lot more anxiety, a lot more fear. And I was on the way here today, actually, and I was talking to somebody, and they said that a friend of theirs, who's 17, mind you, has bad anxiety, and they're on medical marijuana. And I don't know why that really bothered me, because what bothered me about it, and I'm not pro or against marijuana, I don't really care. Right. But what bothered me was, number one, 17. Like, we don't know what it's doing to your brain long term before you're 25.
Right.
Number one. Number two, are you sure that's not just masking a problem? Of course, if you're smoking weed, you're going to get high. At that moment, you don't care. Mm-hmm. But if you're still anxious after the high comes down, then you didn't really get rid of your anxious. And you kind of just masked it. It didn't go anywhere.
I think that's the key.
Yeah. And so that's what bothered me.
Right.
Was like you're not actively growing. Mm-hmm. You're just masking.
It's not teaching your brain how to resolve it. No. It's just masking it for the moment.
It's
like you said.
It's teaching you to need weed.
How to avoid it. You need weed. I like it.
Yeah.
It's teaching you to need weed.
It's teaching you to say, oh, I'm feeling anxious. Where's my weed at?
It's a lot of people going, oh, okay.
Sure.
I'll take that need weed.
Yeah. Until
Hashtag need weed me.
There you go.
Or me need weed.
But, I think, though, that in that case, what are you doing to grow? Like, what are you doing to evolve in any sort of way? Especially at 17. Like, really? And so I think that's the problem is that's in Buddhism, that's how we cause our suffering, right?
Yeah.
Is our clinging to the good and our running from the bad. And so, anxiety, fear, that feels icky. I don't want to feel that.
Right.
So instead of confronting it and deal with it, we want to, take a pill. We want to smoke weed. We want to drink. We want to go hang out with our friends. Or something simple as like my kids who don't want to sleep in the bedroom at night. They want to sleep with their sister, or they want to sleep with us. Like, instead of dealing with it and confronting it, we're a society now where we want to just cover it up and mask it. And so I think that's kind of where it needs to start, is addressing it. We need to kind of address our fears, address our anxieties. Don't run from it. Don't mask it. It's not a bad thing. It's just another thing. It's just another thing in your life that you're going to now have to adapt to and work on. Don't let it control you, because then what'll end up happening is, first of all, like you said, you're not gaining any coping skills from it. You're just learning how to mask it. And so if it works for that, then you're going to start learning how to mask other things. Why not?
Yep.
I'm angry. Well, I'm going to mask it with this. I'm this, And so you're not evolving. You're not growing in any way.
Not at all.
And at the end of the day, we're all kind of searching for the same thing. We're all searching for happiness.
Right.
We all have different definitions of what that is and how to get there. But at the end of the day, we're all seeking happiness. And I'm going to tell you right now, masking everything and not growing is not going to lead you to happiness. It'll lead you to momentary pleasure for sure, but even that pleasure runs out. It's going to stop at some point. That high is going to come down, and then you're left with all the anxiety that you had before that. Right. So if you learn how to cope with it, if you learn how to attack it head on, or if you learn how to have a perspective or a mindset that kind of nullifies the anxious and the fear, then you're good to go, right? And I think that's what spirituality does. I think that spirituality gives you that that mindset of I'm okay, and that's the biggest thing I try to explain to people too. Actually,
right.
When it comes to spirituality and Buddhism, they see me kind of what they call Zen, I guess, but they see me kind of just, I'm good. No matter what happens around me, I'm okay. And then they get this false idea that I'm legitimately okay with everything that happened, like I don't have a problem with it. No, there's stuff that takes place that I don't like. I prefer to go different ways, but my happiness is no longer tied to any specific outcome.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't have an expectation of how this should end, and that's the only thing that's going to give me, my fulfillment or my happiness. Instead, I'm like, I'm going to do what I do, and whatever happens is going to happen, and I'll deal with it. And I think spirituality gives me that confidence. Spirituality helps give me that perspective or that mindset to move forward, essentially. Yeah. So I've been running my mouth, man. Go ahead. I know you got something to say on
No, I love where you're going with it. Period. So to be honest with you, I'm right there with you. I think that when you talk about, especially things that we become anxious about, that unknown principle that you're bringing up, I think that accepting that unknown and allowing it to be unknown and not having to know. There's so many things that we don't know, Trinity. Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, how many things that we don't know that we don't get anxious about? Yeah. But here are the things that are important. If we understand the facts of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You need the safety, you need a place to stay, and you need
food, shelter, water.
Yeah, food, shelter, water.
And love.
So those are the things that create the most anxiety, right? Yep. So sometimes you just have to be accepting that those three things are okay today. Yeah. And if they're not, then yes, you have a reason to be anxious or concerned that day.
That's living in the now, right?
But you still need the active plan. Yeah, but I think we add things to that hierarchy that don't really, like we put them at top.
Yeah, you think?
When they're not really at the top.
Yeah, like I need Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. We throw things in there and fight over them when they really don't belong that high up on the scale.
Well, the other thing that this reminds me of, right? Because there's other types of fear, right? People are afraid of success. People are afraid of getting good things, even. But I'm thinking like in a relationship, right? I see a lot of people saying that they don't want to get into relationships because they're afraid to get hurt. Like, really? So what? So what? That's where I think the fear comes in, and it's unreasonable. Let's say you open your heart to somebody and they break your heart, and you're afraid to do that, so you don't want to have a relationship. But look at all the lessons that it's going to teach you. Look at all the memories, the experiences that you're going to get out of that. Look at the growth that you're going to have out of that. And the rule number one, the thing with Buddhism, the first truth, pain is a part of life.
Right.
So I hate to break this to you. If you never ever get in a relationship your entire life ever, you're going to still have pain. You're going to still have things that irritate you, that you don't like, that you deem unsatisfactory. So whether you have a relationship or not, you're going to always experience pain. So you're not going to avoid that. So stop lying to yourself that you're going to be able to avoid pain by just staying out of a relationship.
That's right.
It's not going to happen.
No. It's
right?
a different. Now you get a different pain.
Exactly.
Now you get the pain of loneliness.
The pain of loneliness. The pain of, like I said, lack of intimacy, growth, things of that nature. Mm-hmm.
And then having to find that validation elsewhere.
Yes.
Because even though you may think that you're self-validating, if you're not offering yourself up and be being open to others, then you're really not self-satisfying.
No, you're missing that connection.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of actually is
You're settling for one.
Yeah. Well, there's The Biggest Loser was on one year, right? This was years ago, and of course the people there on Biggest Loser, they're all heavy, and they've got self-esteem issues and confidence issues,
Right.
whatever. It's not just I eat a lot.
Right.
If you're that heavy, you don't just enjoy Twinkies.
Right.
If you're that heavy, that's emotional eating. There's something there.
Yeah.
And so there's one lady in particular. They were all supposed to jump into a pool, right?
Okay.
And I just it sticks out so much in my mind because to me it's an analogy for life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she was supposed to just jump into the pool. That's all she was supposed to do. She was terrified to jump into the pool, like off the diving board, I think it was, because she was afraid to get hurt. So when it came time to jump, she was holding on to stuff, and she was so rigid and so like tense because she's afraid to jump to get hurt that she ended up slipping and hurting herself. To whereas if she would have just gone and done what she was supposed to do, the likelihood of her getting hurt is probably 0 to none.
Yeah.
It just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Just jump into the pool, you're fine. But because she was so terrified to get hurt,
Right.
she was trying to protect herself. She actually ended up hurting herself by trying to protect herself.
Right.
And that's what comes to mind to me for those people who say, I'm not going to get in a relationship because I don't want to get hurt.
Right.
You're doing more damage than that relationship could ever do.
Great point.
Because you're setting yourself up with this false sense of security that you're never going to get hurt. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you're denying yourself all the good stuff that you could have. It's like building up walls keeps all the bad stuff out. Oh, it keeps the good stuff out too.
Yeah, you're probably hurting someone too.
Exactly.
I mean, this
Exactly.
is a two-way street. You're hurting people. There's
So-
people that want you that you're like turning down or walking
of
away
course.
from.
And that's where that vulnerability word comes in. We did a show on that a few weeks ago, and I think that people are so afraid to be vulnerable. It's like, why would I tell them that I'll get hurt?
Right.
So what? Like, we're not talking about death here. We're talking about you might get your feelings hurt, okay, but you'll get better. It'll get better. You'll get past it, and you might even grow from it.
Well, like what you said is also that if you don't commit, we talked about earlier, like with your motorcycle stunts. If you don't commit, you're gonna get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you gotta just. Even if you got to fake it till you make it, you got to fake that confidence. If you don't really have it, you just have to commit to the trick. Just like you have to commit to your life. You have to commit to your day. You got to wake up in the morning and just commit to it.
I like that. Commit to your life.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's your life, man. Might as well commit to it.
Yeah.
And do the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
maybe we'll use that as a topic. We'll use that as one of your things.
commit to your life.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I just think that at the end of the day, that's what a lot of people are doing though, is they're filling in this narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
In life, we have these fears and these anxieties, and we're so worried about what could happen,
right?
That we're missing what's right in front of us,
right?
You woke up today, man.
That's right.
You're alive.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who aren't.
Definitely.
And chances are, if you're listening to this right now, you're not living in some bush somewhere where you have no clothes, you don't know where the next meal is going to come from.
Yep.
Like, your life is pretty good, Like, I'm not saying you have the when you start comparing, of course, there's always going to be somebody who has it better.
Yeah.
But there's also usually going to be somebody who has it worse. Unless you're that one person who's worse, then I'm sorry, that sucks for you. But the majority of it is, it's not as bad as we think it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would hear people complain all the time, just friends and family. They would complain about. Here we go. I got a buddy of mine who complains about things. I'm gonna have to be kind of vague because I don't want to know who I'm talking about. But this person complains about stuff, and every time I talk to him, it's just how bad things are going, essentially. And it's like, I just wish I can get this person to see that, dude, your life is actually pretty good, dude. Like, he's so focused on the things that he doesn't have and the things that he wants, that he thinks are going to give him some fulfillment and happiness, that he's not realizing, man, you got like a great job that people would love to have. You're not struggling for money at all. Like, he's got money to blow on stuff if he wanted to and take trips and buy expensive things. So he's not struggling financially for things. And he's got a pretty good life. And I think that what I'm trying to get him to see is his refusal to just accept his life for what it is and appreciate it is actually causing the problems that he's complaining about. Like, it's that perspective, it's that belief system.
That's what's causing the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's driving people away from him.
Mm-hmm.
It's changing who you attract into your life, right? Because it's giving him a mindset. And it's that mindset of begrudging everything and just kind of, what's going to be bad now, that kind of stuff, right? And that kind of energy, if you will, attracts a certain kind of a person into your life. Certain people are attracted to that energy. And so that's who you're going to bring into your circle. That's who you're going to bring into your little evolution here, is people who feed off of that kind of energy. And so you're going to basically keep getting the same person over and over and over again. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, basically. You know, you think things are going bad or whatever, so you attract bad into it, kind of a thing. To whereas if you find that inner peace and you find acceptance and you find love and compassion for yourself and everybody around you, then suddenly you start to attract different kinds of people into your life, and then some of those issues and problems that you're having, next thing you know, like years later, like, oh, they're gone.
Right.
Of course they're gone, because you changed your mentality. It was you. It wasn't all these other things out there. It was you. And so I think that's where the fear comes in, is we don't trust ourselves, right? We don't trust that we've got it inside and it's going to be okay, you know? And I remember, it's a trivial example, but it's an example nonetheless, right? There was, it was a long time ago, and I was working, and I was, I was doing okay financially. I was doing well. I was single. I was making $60,000. I was having a good time, and I wanted to buy a motorcycle. I already had one. I had an R6, and I wanted an R1.
Another one.
It's a bigger bike. Yep. It's better for my size and things of that nature. And the payment, I'm not even going to say what the payment was. It was some stupid low number, right? Hindsight, looking back, I can't believe I pondered over this. But at the time, I remember sitting there talking to my buddy. We were at work, and I was like, I really wanted it. Like, it was my bike, dude. It was the color I wanted. I still have pictures of it. It was the all blacked out Raven. It was R1. That was, I'm a big dude, man. So the 1000 cc is better for my frame and everything else. But I was so used to the 600, and it was paid for.
Right.
And so I was like, I didn't know if I wanted to get into a loan, right? And I'll say, dude, the payment was like $100 or $200 a month. It was some stupid amount. It was like ridiculously low, right? But I was stressing about it because I was worried about, what if I can't pay it? What if this happens? You know, all these what ifs. And I remember my buddy was like, dude, look, man, let me remind you who you are for a minute. Yeah. He's like, you're Trinity, MF, and Phillips, man.
Hey, that's my name.
Yeah, and he's like, dude. Yeah, he's like, dude, you're going to handle this, man. Like, no matter what it is, you're going to survive it. You're going to make it through it. I don't care what it is. If it comes out, you'll do this, and you'll do. He kept giving me all these scenarios, and like, you'll handle it. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, what was I thinking? You know, like, why was I so worried about these what ifs that may or may not ever happen? And so I ended up just, screw it. I went down the next day and bought the bike. It was one of the best things I ever did, man. I love that motorcycle. As a matter of fact, that motorcycle helped me get the truck that I'm driving today.
I saw it. I remember when you brought it in.
Yeah.
It was a sad day.
It was a sad day. That was my baby, man.
It was.
But my point being, though,
it didn't even have a license plate, though.
Well, there's a reason for that, which I will not go into live. There's certain individuals.
I'm sorry. Did I say something?
There's certain individuals that I didn't think needed to track my whereabouts at certain times when I was writing. Although I full disclaimer here, I follow every law for traffic, and I never did anything, bad on that.
Well, the best disclaimer is, since you've been the Dharma guy, you've followed every rule.
Yeah, we'll go with that. But anyways, I think, but once again, that's indicative of what I'm talking about, though, right? It's like people don't realize they have it inside them already. Right. You already have the skills. You already have the traits to get through whatever it is that's giving you anxiety at the moment. Right. Whatever it is that's scaring you, you've got this. You are the solution.
Plus, what if it's not chemical? What if it's not that you're low on GABA, and so you go out there
and DHEA.
And you go out there and take something to increase it. Then here's what happens: your brain naturally stops making some of that GABA because it doesn't know that you got involved. It actually thinks it's making too much. Yeah. So it regulates itself because your brain is constantly self-regulating. Yeah. So when you add chemicals to deal with problems, the same chemicals that you need to help yourself with problems gets reduced on the natural level.
Well, isn't that, I know I'm going to test your memory here for a minute.
Oh, boy.
But isn't that BS anyways? Remember the liquid courage thing? Yeah. People drink alcohol, they think it gives them this courage or whatever. Didn't that guy that came to the Orange County meeting?
Yeah, it's thinking. It's the thinking, not the drinking.
Yeah. So we have this delusion in our minds that drinking alcohol gives us this courage and makes us go do things.
No, we lower our inhibitions ourselves.
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with the drinking.
It's because whatever we want it to be, whatever we predict it. See, that's the power of the brain, though. That right there is the power of the brain. If you want to be anxious, you're going to be anxious. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous because you're like, I don't want to be anxious. Yes, but
you do.
when you're thinking about it, focused on it, and you're not working on the things that relax you and you stay calm.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about those people, because if you truly have a generalized anxiety disorder, then there really is a GABA issue and you need to take something.
Sure.
Or you have a serotonin issue and you need to take something. However, not
I'm
everybody that's
I'm not
suffering.
talking about the people who've been medically diagnosed.
Right. Not everybody that's dealing with it on a medical level.
Right.
And even if you have been diagnosed, remember, we have a lot of quacks out there that don't know anything.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you sometimes have to do it on your own and kind of see what works, what doesn't work, because just the way they're practicing medicine, you need to practice medicine with your own brain.
Well, it is practice of medicine.
Yeah, you need to practice natural solutions as much as you can, because those are the ones that you can actually, they're more sustainable.
Yeah.
You know, you can do them anytime.
Yeah.
So if something happens at 3 o'clock in the morning, you have something. If something happens at noon, you have something. If something happens on vacation, you have something. If something happens when you run out of something, you still have something.
Yeah. I agree. My point was, in saying that though, was yes, we have this delusion that alcohol is going to help me get it. No, it isn't. You were going to do that regardless. You just had to work yourself up. This is basically like the placebo effect. You thought it was going to do this, so it did. Just like that's why some people say, "Oh, well, alcohol brings me down." Other people, "Oh, alcohol brings me up." Like it's what you thought it was going to do ahead of time.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the substance.
Right.
And so, to me, I think that once again goes back to what I was saying and what you just said. Mm-hmm. You already have it inside of you, man. It's already there, right? Like, if you're anxious about something, if you're fearful about something, like, let's say there's a job change happening, right? And I'm talking to you right now. If you're listening to this, there's a job change happening. You know, you want to get a new job. Maybe you've been offered it, but you're worried. Take it. Listen to your insides, man. You're gonna make it. You'll be fine. You'll figure out something.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, you will find the answer. You will find the solution, and you're going to be okay. You know, if there's a relationship and somebody's talking to you and you're interested, try it out. Like whatever it is, man, just commit to your life. I like that. I'm gonna use that. Commit to your life.
Yeah.
You only live one of them, man.
Talk
to it.
Talk to the people in bad relationships, because I think they need to hear this.
Okay.
So can you talk
about?
Can you kind of like specifically focus it a little bit for them?
Sure.
Because there's so many people that just stay, Trinity. They just stay in really bad situations. Right. But there's also people that run quickly. So you have to walk that line carefully, right?
Absolutely.
But I know you will, so go ahead.
Well, I think that when it comes to relationships, now I'm going to do a whole relationship
and I know you're going to do a whole show
one of these days.
But this is just like 10 minutes.
But as far as the fear and stuff, I would say that you know, first of all, if you're married, I think that there's a difference between marriage and just dating. Right. I'm going to say, for my mind. You know, if I'm married, that changes the game a little bit. If I'm married, then I've committed. I've signed paperwork. You've taken my name. Like, I feel more compelled at that point to work things out. Now, granted, if there's like physical violence, you know, abuse, you know, any of those things, that's a deal breaker.
Right.
You kind of have to, you know, you're gonna have to cut ties with that. At the very least, you got to get safe first, and then you can deal with whatever it is. But as far as completely in it, if there's just it's a bad relationship, I think that you need to be honest with yourself. Is this really working for me? Is this what I want? Is this person willing to make the changes necessary? Am I willing to make the changes necessary? Can we compromise in the middle? And if the answer is no to that, then walk away. You know, you can't fight hard to keep something that you don't want in the first place. Mm-hmm. You know, don't fight to maintain, you know, mediocrity.
Right.
You know, if it's not fulfilling, if there's no future, if there's no hope, if you find yourself struggling every single day, if you find yourself asking yourself every day, why am I doing this? Oh, this sucks so much. I hate this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this person's going to do it. Then why are you fighting? How much worse do you think it's going to get? Mm-hmm. You know, you could do bad by yourself. You don't need help with that.
Right. Know, like, and it's very different if everything that you're dealing with could be considered opinion. But if something physically happened that is causing the disruption, then why are you waiting? You know what I mean? If something serious that you are not going to be able to let go, you're not going to be able to forgive, you're not going to be able to unknow what you know.
Yeah. I think that's a big one, though. I think a lot of people think that they can get over stuff that they just can't.
Look, I've known more people that can't get over it than people that can.
Yeah.
And so it's just a delay in when the relationship is going to end. It ended now, but it doesn't end on paper until 10 years from now.
Yeah. And I think that's where the honesty comes into play. You know, you got to be honest with yourself. Like, really? Are you going to be able to get over this? And and I think everything can be gotten over. I just don't know if everybody has the skill set to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, I've seen some devastating things in relationships, and I have a really, really good friend of mine who there was some infidelity at one point in the relationship. And for a lot of people, that's it. That's game over, right? But they worked it out, and it was, gosh, it was probably 10 years ago now, if not more. And they had like the best relationship ever. It brought them closer together. They got over it. They worked on the issues that were causing it in the first place, and they're doing fantastic.
Yeah.
However, I've seen a lot of other ones that ends it immediately.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying they break up. I'm just saying it ends it. They can't get over it. It causes resentment. It causes anger, frustration. And so I think that's a very dicey one where you got to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Can I get over this? I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I could.
Yeah.
If my wife cheated on me, I don't know if I could get over that. I'd like to think that I could, but I
not
don't
me.
know if I could.
I don't even want to think that I could.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I hope that I can't.
Okay. Why is that?
Because no. Because I deserve better. There's no way. That
Right.
will be it. That, I'm sorry, but that is it. You should have just,
Yeah.
you know, that means something else was happening.
Yeah.
That you didn't know how to communicate.
Yep.
And so we're going to focus on maybe B, but A was the real problem. A was already existing.
Right.
But now we're all focused on the B, the physical part, that it actually happened. Well, you know what? No. Because then when A happens again, I don't know that you can block A again.
Yeah. That
You know what I mean?
I kind of feel the same way. Like
Right.
I think it's an immediate deal breaker.
I will never be able to truly forgive you. So I hope that I can't fool myself that I forgave you because I
Right.
know I won't. There's
Right.
no way, Trinity.
But I think a lot of people are afraid of pulling the trigger and walking away, so they convince themselves that they can. And that's, once again, that's where that fear and anxiety comes.
I can learn how to be friends with you again. I think that. I mean, we can learn how to be a team. So if we stay together, it's a team. But
Right.
you know, that deep level of intimacy, I'm sorry, I just won't be able to do. Now that's just me. I wish, like, let me flip it a little bit.
Sure.
If the shoe were on the other foot, then I'd be talking completely different. I really would. I know that I am a double standard person.
Right. I think most people are.
Right, but I admit it.
That's the big difference. That's the
I
difference.
admit it.
Yeah.
So if it were on the other foot, I would 100% want to be forgiven because I would know or at least I'd feel like I know
Sure.
that I could change.
Sure.
So I would do everything in my power to show, please don't leave. Stay.
I can already tell our relationship episode is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a multiple part one, I'm sure. But to bring us back to the fear and anxiety,
but see, that is what. All right, so let's bring it back.
I
to
think
fear and anxiety
causes a lot of that.
and I think that, you know, not understanding what your boundaries are, or not
Right.
understanding how far you can go in your life with different people, can also cause fear and anxiety. Because lack of communication causes fear and anxiety. So communicate it.
Yeah, or fear and anxiety can cause lack of communication.
Yeah, if somebody's hurting you, if somebody's bothering you, and you're not saying anything about it, don't wait till they get worse.
Yeah.
Or don't wait till 5 or 10 years later.
It's not going to get better on its own.
That's right.
Like,
communicate it.
Yeah, you have to let them know that. And you can't be that's another, in a relationship anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let fear and anxiety of whatever could happen prevent
Right.
you from getting the life that you deserve.
Yeah.
Like, if you're worried that if you communicate your needs to this person and this person, you're afraid that they're going to take it badly or not give you that or whatever, then you need to know that now, and that's the type of person maybe you just can't be with. Find out now before like 3 or 4 kids get involved,
So we waited like 8 years before having kids.
Yeah, you got to make sure that person you're able to, I could go home and talk to my wife about pretty much anything right now. And I know that, we might not necessarily agree.
Right.
But we can talk about it. We can figure it out,
Yeah.
So
I'll top that. I know that I can go fight right now, and she ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, well,
that's freedom. When
Yeah,
I
man.
know I can fight with you right now.
Yeah.
I can say you are full of crap right now, and you know that I'm full of crap right now, and just get however we need to get, because there's certain boundaries that aren't going to be crossed with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the good stuff.
That
man.
freedom is that you can communicate anything and
Yeah.
you can argue anything. You put those two things together, that
Yeah.
gives you a sense of security.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. But I think that and that's in a relationship status, right?
But everything's a relationship.
Touche. I guess what I'm saying is I'm focused more at the moment anyways on the fears, the paralysis by analysis thing. Where people are afraid to do or say certain things in their lives,
Right.
afraid to commit to their life
Yeah.
out of fear of the unknown.
Right.
Right? That's an internal battle. That's something that that I think that they have to understand for themselves, that you have it.
Yeah.
Like, you already have it.
God, that unknown is so exciting too, though.
I love the unknown personally.
I love the
That's why
unknown.
it's hard for me to relate to the fear and anxiety,
Right.
because I think my life, I went through so much stuff early on, man, that I was like a phoenix as a kid. I just broke through it, and I just this insane confidence. I was like, I can do anything. You know, like I survived that. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And so for my whole life, dude, I was like, I never saw an opportunity, and I wasn't like, hell yeah.
I'm the strongest, fastest swimmer, bro.
Yeah.
I've been.
We're all born winners, bro.
Yeah, I've been carrying that trophy since day one.
So like even now in my life, man. How many times, even us, that's part of the reason why we're so dangerous sometimes, is because an opportunity comes and we're like, yeah, we'll do it.
Absolutely.
Sure, we'll figure it out. So it's hard for me to relate, you know, but I think at one point in my life I did have that, like as a kid. And so that's what I'm trying to get people to realize is you know, that anything that you're fearful about at the moment, or you're anxious about, it's going to be okay. I think that's what the message I want to get across is it's going to be okay.
I need to get that little message drop.
Yeah. Yeah, message.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say it's okay is it's going to be okay. But your definition of okay might have to change. And that's what I mean. That's where acceptance comes into play. You got to accept things for the way they are, not as you want them to be. Did a whole show on that, by the way. Go check it out on YouTube. But yeah, acceptance, I think that's the biggest deal, right? Is that's what makes us fearful is not that it's going to work out, but it's not going to work out the way we think it should.
Right.
And that's the big deal is you know, you don't run things. You know, the universe, life, God, whatever your power is, that runs things, not you.
Right.
You're a passenger here. You're not the driver.
Right.
Stop thinking you control stuff because you don't. So when you start to realize that you don't control anything but your own reactions to things, that starts to give you some peace. Like you can't control it anyways. No matter how much you think you can. That's like standing out at the beach yelling at the waves, telling them to stop coming.
Yeah.
You know, good luck.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work. You know, but the sooner you accept that those waves are just going to keep coming, then you can kind of move around them. You know, you can kind of adjust. So in life, it's going to be okay, but you got to change your definition of okay. Your definition of okay as it stands might be what's causing you that fear and anxiety. Now, once you kind of adjust that and you learn to be okay with whatever it is, then all of a sudden the fear and anxiety starts to go away.
Right.
And you give that inner peace of like, okay, you know, I'll deal with it, whatever it is. And I think that, for me, that's what excites me at this point in my life, is I know I'm going to be all right. I'll know I'll figure out something. I'll adapt.
That's right.
And, you know, might not be what I want it to be at the moment, but I can learn to like that, you know. And some people call that settling. I call that adapting, you know, because I'm still happy. Because at the end of the day, my happiness doesn't depend on outside stuff.
Yeah.
I can be happy no matter where you put me right now, man.
Dude.
You can put me in the middle of total and utter chaos. You can put me in the middle of any... I'm good. I'm happy.
Dude, I started swimming. I'm ending swimming.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy.
I'm moving. You know, I mean, I may swim slowly sometimes, and I look like I'm floating because I got to take a rest.
Right?
But...
We got a floater.
You know, yeah, but you got to keep going.
Yeah, man.
You know, you just got to keep swimming. I mean, I want to know where... I want to get as far down this river as I can get before I get beached. You know what I mean?
want to live life.
I just want to know where it goes as far as I can go.
Yeah, I'm all about experiences.
Right.
Like,
Me too. That's what that is. The memories is all you have when you're stuck in that room. When my kids put me in that room in my wheelchair and aim me towards the wall.
Just drool down your mouth.
Yeah, drool going down my mouth and poop in my pantalones. I want to have these memories at least. And if I don't, at least put me in front of the TV and play my life back, because that's why I took so many videos and pictures in the first place.
Well, I mean, I think that, I don't know, I love having a story to tell. You know, I love having memories. I love having experiences.
That's wisdom.
And I even love my failures.
Yeah,
like I'm not afraid of failure.
Mm.
I'm afraid of not trying. I'm afraid of being frozen. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
And so for me, because I don't look at failure as a failure. I look at failure as just a teaching moment. I look at failure as just a lesson that I've yet to learn. You know. And matter of fact, one of the very first groups I ever covered for you. This was years ago now. Back when you were still doing groups at Quest.
Oh, wow.
I was coming back from Palm Bay. I think you had something came up, and you needed somebody to cover your group. And it was in November, as a matter of fact.
Jesus, you have a good memory.
And you told me, you asked me, say, hey, look, man, I can't make it. You knew I was coming back from Palm Bay.
Right.
And you're like, hey, can you cover this group? And I was like, okay, sure. And that's where I got my name default from. I was always just, I'll do
that's right. I forgot that was your nickname.
But and so...
You just reminded me.
But it was in November. The reason why it was November is because it was your gratitude group. And in November, you do like a gratitude thing when you're running groups.
Right.
And so I was going to do the gratitude group, and I was like, under one condition, as long as I can just do my own way. And you're like, yeah, do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I sat down, I was talking about gratitude, and it was funny because I went around the room and asked everybody, what are you grateful for? And they all started rattling off, all these, wonderful things that are very good to be grateful for.
They sound good, yeah.
Yeah, they sound great. And I says, okay, well, let me tell you what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my failures. I'm grateful for every single time I attempted to do something and it ended badly. Because those are the ones who made me who I am today.
Yep.
Those failures are what made me who I'm proud of when I look in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's those failures that I taught. You don't learn anything by winning all the time. If you're constantly getting successes, what reason would you possibly have to readdress things?
Yeah.
You don't. You're already getting what you want. But when I went after something and it failed miserably and it didn't get what I wanted, it made me stop and say, okay, why did this happen? Is it me? Is it them? What do I need to do differently?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made me a better person. So I'm grateful. I'm most grateful for my failures.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And I think that's another reason why I don't fear things. I don't have the anxiety of things because, once again, my happiness isn't dependent upon those outcomes. And I know if the outcome doesn't go away I want it to, I'm going to learn something from it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to grow. I'm going to become a better person because of that. And what gives me that faith and that inner peace is now my spirituality, is my ability to kind of just accept it for what it is and kind of just have that peace of knowing everything's going to be okay. I believe in myself. I know I have what it takes, and I know all is going to be well.
That's right.
I might not have the list of everything that I'm looking for, but I have the important ones.
Mm-hmm.
The hierarchy of needs. I've got food in my belly. I've got my kids are safe. I got a roof over my head, and I'm not hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I'm not thirsty. I'm all right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are the main ones. I look at the clock. We're running out of time.
So I shouldn't get upset that I didn't have a PS4 last night.
If you get a PS4, bro, all right. First of all,
I got called out by an Up Live watcher.
Are you serious?
Well, not in a negative way. He just says, "What Xbox is that?"
Oh.
And he can't see the Xbox. He just knew I was playing 12. He goes, "Yeah, I had that in 2006 or something like that." That was funny.
For those of you who don't know, we're talking about we stream on Up Live, and we're up on Up Live right now. Hey, what's up, everybody?
I need that PS4, huh?
If you get a PS4, bro, we can stream and we can play. I stream on here all the time with Destiny 2, man.
You can stream with the game?
Yeah.
I'm
telling you.
so lost.
We can play each other we could be teammates while we're playing
That's
and
weird.
streaming and getting our hours in.
That doesn't even make sense to me.
Anyways, we're running out of time, so I got to do some things here.
Yeah, you do.
All right, so first off, let me go ahead and do my three things here.
There you go.
Let me
You
break
got 4
it down
minutes.
for you. 4 minutes to do three things, huh? Yeah. Okay, so number one, this is once again how to deal with fear and anxiety. So after listening to everything we've done, I'm going to try to break it down to three main things for you, your action plan, if you will. The first one is you got to find your inner peace. You got to find inner peace, and spirituality is a good way to do that. That inner peace is going to make it to where your happiness is no longer dependent upon specific outcomes, which is going to make some of that fear and some of that anxiety dissipate a bit. The second one you got to understand, feelings aren't facts. And I did a show on that one. Just because you feel something's going to work out a certain way or you're feeling in the narrative with a little bit of a truth doesn't mean that that's the truth or the reality. That's just one version of it based upon what you've already had, based upon where you're coming from and your perspective. So it very well could turn out completely differently. And then the third one is acceptance. You got to learn to accept things as they are and as you want them to be. Basically, that's what I mean by changing your definition of okay. Everything's going to be okay based upon this definition of it. And so those are the three things. So find your inner peace through spirituality. Understand that feelings aren't facts. Your narrative might not be the only narrative. And learn how to accept things as they are, not as you want them to be. Those would be my three things, and I hope those help you. And I got to thank some sponsors real quick. Cool. That's where we're able to do what we do. I'm going to start out with Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers. They are a fantastic company. They're in network, actually, for drug and alcohol treatment for everybody, or I don't even know who they're all in network for. Do you know? Most insurance companies.
Most insurance companies. The key is to call them and they'll know.
Absolutely. So call Retreat if you're dealing with drug and alcohol related issues and you want to get in. Tell them the Dharma Guy and the Dope Doctor sent you. They'll take good care of you. They got one in West Palm, I know of. One in Pennsylvania is the big one. And then, of course, on that same trend, we got Journey Pier. Journey Pier is a fantastic place. I've actually gone up there a couple times and spoken to them, and they do a lot of support with us at the foundation. So Journey Pier is another good one. Doing good work with people struggling with the disease of addiction. And then you got Orange County Drug Free Coalition. We do a lot of work with the county here. Carol Burkett is amazing. She's awesome. We got our big run coming up in September. We'll talk about it a little bit, I'm sure. But they're always a big supporter of us. And then finally, of course, the Now Matters More Foundation, to which he's the founder, I'm the president. You can check us out at nowmattersmore.org if you want to give and donate money. If you want to read more about what we're doing, check out the events. If you don't have money to give, but you want to support some way, go on our social media, share the things that we put up, and give us your birthday on Facebook, and it'll help out tremendously. And then lastly, if you know anybody who's struggling, either yourself or somebody else, and you need some help, you need help navigating, you need financial help, reach out to us at 833 Now Matters, and we'll see what we can do. That would be our sponsors, man. Yeah. I got it all out.
Yeah, you did.
And we have time, don't we? We have like a minute, maybe?
I mean, you can go now.
All right, I guess we're going to go now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Till next time, now that you know better, do better. Peace.
Do you think he plans it all out? Or just makes it up as he goes along?